A story is a narrative, and a narrative is a story, and those two words are used interchangeably all the time. Just like a chocolate chip cookie includes basic ingredients that without you cease to have a chocolate chip cookie, the same is true with a narrative. There are six fundamental, basic, essential ingredients that must be present in order to have a narrative or a story. Those ingredients are a setting, conflict, point of view, plot, character or characters, and a theme. Let me explain those a little more. A setting itself is made up of many things. When you were younger, you probably understood that a setting was a place, like a basketball court or a kitchen table, even. And that's completely accurate. A setting is a place, but a setting is so much more than just a place. A setting could include a time or a time period, could be a time of the day, could be morning, afternoon, evening, late at night. Could include a day of the week or a season of the year, or even a time period such as the 1800s or the Civil War. Weather conditions are also a component of a setting, whether it's stormy or sunny, make a difference. Even the mood or the atmosphere is also part of the. Your plot is also an important ingredient of a narrative. Your plot is essentially your storyline. It is the way the story unfolds. And there are some pretty key elements that take place in every story. First off, you have an introduction where you meet the character or characters. The setting is often established. Sometimes even the conflict is known. And you have rising action. Rising action is when you realize there's a problem. Climax is the height of the story. In a movie, it's that crazy car chase at the end. And there's the falling action once the problem has been solved. And then there's the denouncement or the resolution when the story is finally come to a nice, neat. The next essential ingredient in a narrative or story is conflict. You know, you can't have a story without a problem. Even the simplest cartoons that you watched when you were a kid on Nick Jr. or Disney Channel include some sort of problem that the characters must find a solution to. There are two basic types of conflict. Number one is external conflict, and the second is internal conflict. External conflict is when the problem is caused by someone other than the main character. The problem is caused on the outside of what's going on. The external circumstances determine the conflict that the main character must find a resolution to. For example, if I were to go home today and realize that my daughter had been kidnapped and there was a ransom note, and I had to find a way to rescue my daughter, that would be external conflict. The problem would have been caused by someone else, and I am responsible for solving that problem. The second type of conflict is internal conflict. This is when the problem is created by the main character and must be solved by the decisions that the main character must make. This is a conflict that exists in the mind and heart of the main character. One example might be a young girl, 16, who's pregnant. The story is about her having to decide what to do with the child. The conflict was caused by the character, and the resolution must be decided by the main character. It is a debate that is internal. The story, the plot, the problem is something that she has to figure out in her head and her heart. That would be internal. Every story, every narrative has characters. Well, it's like a chocolate chip cookie. You can't have a story without characters. You can't have a chocolate chip cookie without chocolate chips. Every story, there are lots of characters in each narrative. Sometimes there may only be one, but there are always an antagonist and a protagonist. The protagonist is the main character in the story. The protagonist is the person solving the conflict. It is usually the person that the story is focused on. The second essential character in a narrative is the antagonist. The antagonist is the person who causes the conflict or the problem for the protagonist. You ever heard the word antagonize before? Antagonize means to cause problems for someone else, to bother them. If any of you have a sibling, especially a younger sibling, you know what it means to be antagonized. If you are the younger sibling, you've probably done your fair share of antagonizing in the past as well. You have been the antagonist, or you have been antagonized by an antagonist. And the antagonist in the story, in the narrative, is a person who causes. Every narrative is told from a certain point of view. The point of view is the angle from which the story is being told, or the perception of the story. There are three types of point of view. There's first-person point of view, second-person point of view, and third-person point of view. The two most common are first and third, with third being the most common point of view used in narratives. A first-person point of view is when the author or the narrator of the story is telling the story as if it happened to them, or they were involved in the story somehow. They witnessed it firsthand. This story includes often words like I, me, we, because the story is about the narrator. The third-person point of view is when the author or narrator is telling the story about a situation that they are not part of or privy to. It's just a story that they are narrating, telling about someone else that may have existed or may not have existed. They are just relating the story to you. It does not involve anything that happened to them or that they witnessed directly. Third-person stories include a lot of he, she, they. A third-person story would be something, once upon a time in a land far, far away, there lived a princess who, those kinds of stories are third person, are told from a third person. Last but not least, every narrative has a theme. A theme is a moral or ethical lesson to be learned by the reader. Every author either begins writing with a theme in mind, or a theme develops as they write. There is at least one moral or ethical takeaway or lesson, excuse me, from the story. And often there are many themes that take place in the story. What can the reader learn or benefit from through interacting with this narrative? That's what a theme is. There are some very popular themes like things are not always as they appear to be, or love is blind. Believe in yourself. People are afraid of change, or don't judge a book by its cover. Bravery is a theme. Jealousy and what is the result of it is a theme. Any lesson that could be learned or pulled away from a narrative is considered a theme. That should just about wrap things up for this lesson. I hope you understand that that a narrative, a story, must have 6 essential ingredients. And now you know what they are.